I have a confession. I spend entirely too much time arguing people on the internet about Kamala Harris. And I am not proud to admit that, especially when I understand that she is the most targeted Democratic candidate when it comes to the social media campaign of disinformation and misinformation. And that's not my opinion. That's what's been objectively reported. And so I'm taking matters into my own hands. Rather than arguing people who are probably getting paid to sow confusion, I'm creating a fact-checking series. And yes, I am Team Kamala. But this is not to try to persuade people on who to vote for. It's so that we can have a conversation where we all stipulate to the same set of facts. Remember when that used to be a thing? Not what you heard on Facebook, on Instagram, or what somebody had told you about what they had heard, about what they had read, and now it's all mixed up by the time it gets to you. Let's talk about the facts, and that's what I'm going to give to you guys. Straight, no chaser, backed up by contemporaneous reporting and objective sources that you can read and formulate your own opinion on. And before you ask, no, I'm not doing it for no other candidates. So let's get started. So one of the common refrains that you hear in the social media sphere is that Kamala Harris opposed releasing people who were wrongly convicted, and as it related to a crime lab technician by the name of Deborah Madden. Now, they don't know that the name of the person is Deborah Madden, but I'm telling you the name of the person is Deborah Madden. And so there are many variations on the story. I've heard all kinds of craziness, but let's get to the bottom of it. So San Francisco Police Department crime lab employee Deborah Madden was involved in handling drugs, okay? She was not involved in drug testing people. She was involved in, measuring and things of that nature. And so she was accused of skimming off the drugs. So obviously that's problematic because, you're breaking the chain of evidence. Evidence is being tampered with. But she was not accused of falsifying evidence. She was not accused of trumping up charges. She was accused of stealing the coke to get high. Okay? That's the number one thing you need to know about Deborah Madden in the crime lab. So now that we understand a little bit more about Deborah Madden, let's talk about some of the stuff that's out there. Okay. The claim that I heard today, which came out of nowhere, was that she had falsified positive drug tests for parolees and that sent them back to jail, and Kamala didn't care. That never happened. She wasn't piss testing people. She was involved in handling drugs. What she was accused of was skimming the drugs and getting high. Okay. What Kamala did as DA was her in the office. They looked at the entire San Francisco PD crime lab, and they ended up dismissing cases, not just Deborah Madden's cases, but 1,555 cases to my count that I was able to find contemporaneous reporting for. And they dismissed the cases, or they declined to prosecute. So this whole notion that she was some zealot hell-bent on mass incarcerating people wrongfully behind this shady lab technique is just false. Let's talk about the San Francisco Crime Lab Scandal. All right. I've got past the inflammatory stuff, so let's talk about what really happened. So where this became a scandal, all right, is the fact that you had this lab technician that was crooked, or allegedly crooked, and one of the people in her office, the deputy DA, kind of got wind that something was a little sketchy with this woman, okay? She was saying that she's unreliable as a witness, and, for a couple of months, not years, and I'm not saying that months is acceptable, but if we're going to be mad, be clear on what we're mad about. They continued to use her, okay? Then it all came out, and shit hit the fan. And that's where this whole scandal came that ultimately led to cases being dismissed. All right. So Kamala said she wasn't aware of this exchange that happened with these DAs. There's no evidence that she was. There was no memos. There was no emails. And so you can determine whether it's acceptable or not that she was aware or not aware of what was happening in her office. So I'll leave to you to determine what level of culpability that you want to assign to Kamala as a result of all the things that happened. She took responsibility. She said, the buck stops with me. I make no excuses. So do with that what you may. What I want to clear up, though, is this whole notion that her arm was twisted and she fought getting cases dropped with this judge. That is completely objectively chronologically false. By April 2010, she had already dropped 1,550 cases, okay? A judge's ruling against her came in May 2010. It was just blasting her conduct. Okay, fine, she took responsibility for that. June 2010, she fought back, saying this judge was biased. August 2010, she lost that, all right? The cases had already been dismissed. There is absolutely no connection between this judge's ruling that happened after she had already dismissed thousands of cases and what she did. She did the right thing, and she wasn't forced to do the right thing.